Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests. A journey thus far. Late June, I received an award from Toastmasters for recognition of my public speaking journey thus far. The award was for the most improved Toastmaster at our Sunshine Coast Club. Now, every journey or goal begins with a start. So let's explore the reasons why I began this journey, what motivated me to conquer my fear of public speaking. So firstly, I made a promise to myself. That was the first reason. And secondly, I've also got a story or two to tell. So in order to tell those stories effectively, I need to be able to communicate ideas, emotions, expressions, so that you, the audience, can get maximum benefit from that experience. Does that make sense? The catalyst for change was born out of a tragedy in April 2009. Events on that day became a powerful motivator that eventually drove me to overcome my fear and start a journey. On the 14th of July 2015, I finally stood in front of my fellow Toastmaster peers and delivered my icebreaker speech entitled, "I Am a Survivor." On the 14th of June 2016, I delivered my 10th speech entitled "Personal Responsibility," completing my Confident Communicating manual. June is a powerful month for me. In fact, that's where this journey began. Let me explain. When I was around 6 years old, I moved to a new school. I was shy and timid, small in stature compared to my other classmates. The headmaster introduced me to the class, and along with that introduction, he assigned 2 people to look out for me. Now their names were Mark Royal and Mark Morrison. So coincidentally, we were all named Mark and we were all Geminis. So yes, double trouble around. My new mates took on the role with gusto until one day soon after, the headmaster once more interrupted our class. He called out Mark Royal and he removed him from the class. And I hardly saw Mark until that fateful day in April in 2009. You see, Mark's parents had both been killed in an accident when a logging truck lost its load. And just like that, him and his siblings were orphans and they moved to a new district. Still, 2 of us remained. And our friendship grew stronger. We soon attended college and really were as close as mates could get. By this time, Mark, or Blue as he was affectionately known for his fiery red hair, had grown into a big, strong, 6-foot young man. He was always sporting a wide, goofy grin, and his slow laugh was infectious. He also became good with his fists, because, which came in quite handy, because you see, we attended a rough college with a high percentage of native pupils who aspired to be gang members, so fending off multiple attackers became the norm. I was still a runt and combined humour with mental toughness to overcome attackers, or spent a lot of time in the school pool swimming links. Who knew avoiding bullies would lead to me becoming the senior swimming champion that year? As young men, Blue and I always seemed together. I'd often take on the responsibility of driver, so we always made it home safely from town. Those were great times, but eventually Blue started down a path that I didn't want to follow. I tried to get him to change, but he kept going the way he was going. So we agreed to part ways. Blue respected my decision. He was physically strong and I was strong-willed. We were once a formidable team and still both had a spark of humour that lit up a room with banter every time we found ourselves together. It always brought an infectious buzz to a room. Now, it's that day in April 2009. Flanked by two close friends, I walked into a packed community hall at the very school where the 3 marks were first introduced. 300 people were packed into that hall for Blue's funeral. You see, Blue had found himself in trouble, taken to heavy drinking and drugs, and spiralled out of control. He had farewelled his wife and stepkids as he went to work on the farm, called to leave a message on a mate's phone, asking him to come and find him to spare his wife and kids the grisly discovery before taking his life with a rifle alone in the backpacks. Upon being told, I had flown back to New Zealand from Queensland to attend the funeral. Blue and I had both lost some close friends to drink driving in the preceding years. That had devastating effects on both our lives. For Blue, his brother-in-law, and for me, my younger brother and a few workmates. To compound the issue, my father Rob, who had been a big influence on Blue, had also taken his life in recent years. So, as I entered the hall, heads turned and people started to whisper. They didn't know how to deal with me, although I was experienced when it came to dealing with suicide. I glanced across the room and acknowledged Mark Royal in the back row before sitting close by in one of the few remaining seats. The service commenced and eulogies were read by family members and friends, and the official party assembled on stage. People spoke fondly of Blue's epic drinking sessions, car crashes, escapes from the law, fights and other discretions. Eventually the minister called for any words from people on the floor. I gathered the courage and stood up tall. You could have heard a pin drop as the minister acknowledged me in the back of the room. I awkwardly began squeezing between the rows to make my way to the centre of the hall. The heads all turned once more, and again the whispers began in earnest. My boots echoed loudly on the wooden floor as I made my way to the stage, trying to stay calm and gather my thoughts. As I stepped up onto the pulpit, turning towards the crowd, I glanced across at Blue's mother. She smiled at me and nodded for having the courage to step up. I drew a big breath and began to speak. Firstly, concluding that Blue had in fact done all the crazy deeds mentioned and many more far worse. How he had become a fantastic father figure. How the thing I cherished the most was Blue's big grin, infectious laugh, and the ability to be a natural clown, lifting the mood of any room he was in with laughter. The other feats paled in comparison, in my opinion. That was my essence of my friend Blue. At which point, an intoxicated heckler loudly disagreed, interrupting my chain of thought. I turned to face them, the tears welled up in my eyes. I gulped a few times before trying to compose myself, but the moment was lost. Tears now streamed down my face uncontrollably. I stood tall. My mates in the official party on stage, waiting for my mates in the official party on stage to stand with me, but they all froze. I concluded with a statement, Blue was my mate, before commencing the long, lonely walk back to my seat. Hands were outstretched in solidarity as I walked with purpose. There was hardly a dry eye in the hall as I finally took my seat. The hecklers wisely decided to leave the hall before I sat down. That was the conclusion of the service. At the wake, I spoke to family, apologised for losing my way at such an important moment, before imparting my knowledge on suicide survival, how to avoid the guilt and the dreaded what-if syndrome, and made a promise to myself to one day learn how to speak in public so that I could communicate ideas. Express emotions, tell a good story with conviction that an audience would remember. This trophy is validation that I'm well on my way to fulfilling that promise. In conclusion, every journey begins with a start.